Alrighty. This hand sucks. Yeah, we unfortunately these lands aren't really lands. These border posts aren't really useful since I can't get them into play, so we have to mulligan this. Same type of situation here. We do have a border post in Demonic Dread. The restore balance is basically dead, and this Simian Spirit Guide isn't much of a land. Here we will go ahead and keep, though. And that's actually a great top card. And this hand is fairly reasonable as well, so not too shabby. Get that out and get that out. And then next turn we can read the bones, and assuming it's still in our hand. Oh, interesting. Apparently there is a lot of living end, which, I mean, seems like a great matchup for us. They cast their thingy, and then we cast our thingy, and our thingy destroys all their lands. Ooh, speaking of thingies, Nahiri is totally a thing. Oh, perfect, perfect. This deck mulligans very well, or at least this hand mulliganed very well. I think the deck does mulligan very well. You need so little of your what you need. Basically, you just need a hand that with a land and border posts and this. And if you can find that, it's a good hand. So basically, we're just going to violent outburst after our opponent does their thing. And as long as we don't draw Emrakul, we can alt next turn. We did draw Emrakul, so maybe I shouldn't have been so hasty to discard Read the Bones. I think it's fine too, though. Like a border post, Too bad I drew Emrakul. I'll just leave it at that. We're still gonna win, though, probably. Very likely. Since our opponent's gonna have one land after this and no creatures. Alright, let's let all these shenanigans finish. Also, since we mulligan to 5, our opponent is going to have 2 cards and 1 land, which is not so great against a Nahiri on 8 mana. We might not even have to, our opponent's probably going to concede, as they should. Alright, well, I know a deck to play if I'm expecting a lot of living end. So our opponent can ideally discard their hand, keep a Cascader, and say Simian Spirit Guide. Ooh, and that'll allow them to Avalanche Riders me. Um, well, Simian Spirit Guide does nothing in play. Let's go ahead and play that though. Well, it does allow us to Demonic Dread. Right now we're still beating everything. No, there's no reason to play Simian Spirit Guide, I don't think. So our opponent can do things potentially. All right, so Violent Outburst. And I guess there's incentive to specifically not play Simian Spirit Guide because of that as well. So we ult Nahiri. Violent Outburst here is interesting, that's for sure. So we ultimate Nahiri, our opponent casts Violent Outburst, gets back all their guys, destroys our planes, then we cast our own Demonic Dread, get our opponent back down. Well, we can actually get him down to none lands, since we can just sack this and let it die, and one card in hand by exiling the Simian Spirit Guard. So that puts us in a pretty favorable position with Nahiri out. And all of that assumes our opponent actually has the Violent Outburst, which they could easily have if that was, since that would be a likely card that they keep in their library. I'm trying to think if there's any reason to do this, the Annihilator in response. If you wanted 6 creatures in your graveyard, nah, that doesn't make sense. Alright. Well, we know how to sideboard here, at least. Or at least we think we know how to sideboard here. So that worked pretty well. The Slaughter games worked against a very slow hand, but Breed the Bones isn't all that amazing either. Gotta watch out for Avalanche Riders as well, if at all possible. And I think that should be pretty much just to hope and pray we can restore balance after our opponent tries to get a bunch of creatures into play. Bring balance to the Cascade matchups. Alright, here we go. Whew. Interesting. Very interesting. We have we have the nut card and a good hand. We're just missing a land. How how good is Leyline of the Void, first of all? With this hand, I don't think with this hand. Let's see, our mulligans, our opponent to six. Our opponent's mulliganing to six. This so this hand is not going to win if we don't draw land, and I think that means we can't keep it. Beast from Within would also blow us out, so yeah, this looks much better. So we fetch a swamp, put out one of our border posts. Yeah, definitely want this. Should we be afraid? We should be a little afraid of Ingot Chewer. I still think we just get a swamp here and play this one out, since we would much rather it get destroyed than our Firewild. Ingot Chewer is a massive card for this matchup. So let's hope our opponent doesn't have too many. Okay, there's the first one. So playing this paid off, even though it risked us. It suggested that we wouldn't be able to get out Greater Gargadon as soon. And I think we just have to play this. Unfortunately, we are in big trouble. Two Violent Outburst. Gonna be massive. Alright. That's also an issue, but much less bad than Living End. And now we're stuck doing nothing. We're actually close to discarding Gargadon if we really want to. Eee. That's a beating. Do I want to discard Gargadon? I don't think so. Since it's not actually going to be enough to save us. Okay. Two Gargadons might be enough. One though is just not enough at this point. Yeah, demonic dread? No. Okay, living end. Interesting. Now that we know that's coming. Alright, I'm gonna discard a Gargadon. If we drew another Gargadon, we would just have two, which would be nice. He actually has to destroy his own architects as well. So this one Gargadon might actually be enough if our opponent's hand is just nothing. Okay. How afraid am I of this Avalanche Riders coming back? I think this is fine. So we have, we still have Sacred Foundry that we can get. Oh, right, I did turn on Swamp Walk with that. Interesting. Targeting their own library. So our opponent could just cast another living end, potentially, which wouldn't be terrible. Would get to blow up my Overgrown Tomb. Alright. Going for it now. Okay, they have their own slaughter games. So the question is, do I concede to not show my own slaughter games? Can we win without Restore Balance? I don't think so. If I had have suspended this, maybe. I think we'll just concede. So against a bunch of Ingot Chewers, Read the Bones does seem more important for having enough mana to cast, or just finding more mana. Like, we're gonna have trouble getting up to slaughter games. Leyline stops slaughter games, but whatever. We can actually still win much better through a slaughter games, I think. Well, it's pretty close, probably. Like, we have our alternate win condition. So if we already have a restore balance suspended, or if we cast one, I think this configuration is good. Read the bones uh, to fight against Ingot Chewer a bit better seems important. Ingot Chewer is a huge issue, though, since it's a 1 mana Stone Rain. A 1 mana Stone Rain that comes back to Stone Rain you again. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. So here I don't have red black, which is what I would want. And I could just pass, actually. I think I like that, just passing and seeing what I draw, because the border post isn't really doing a whole lot at the moment. Okay. So now I can suspend Gargadon, border post, and have access to black mana. In this order. So now we can't actually cast Demonic Dread yet, but we could play our Simian Spirit Guide next turn if we really wanted to. Alright, get out of here. Ooh, that's satisfying. Whenever they have to cycle with Leyline of the Void out. Okay, another border post. So I think plain Simian Spirit Guide makes sense. Fulminator Mage is good against us here. But if this Overgrown Tomb survives, if our opponent doesn't Fulminator Mage Overgrown Tomb, we'll be able to get him pretty good. Okay. So do this. Do this. I don't care about attacking first. And we're gonna just completely annihilate our opponent's hand, exile everything unless they have like Beast from Within for the ley line. Alright, it's fine. Let's just destroy all the lands. We'll still be able to have everything but red mana. So we can cast Read the Bones if we draw it. Alright. How soon is our Gargadon coming into play? Very soon. Since we have fuel for it. Actually, it's coming into play next turn, I guess. So the 2 damage would have been relevant, but I think there was no point risking... well, it might have been correct to attack first. But if our opponent had a blocked Beast from Within their own land and blocked our Simian Spirit Guide, if they had the reads, essentially, they could have foiled that play, so... But the 2 damage would have increased our clock significantly. Alright, I'm going for it. Bonk. So this clock is beating land drops, but not Simian Spirit Guide. Assuming our opponent goes land, Simian Spirit Guide, and Cascades. My opponent's saying something in a language I don't understand. 04, I think. Not 04, 04. Yes. I agree. But this deck is good. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words. Yes, it is an innovative deck, similar to Living End. I think our opponent has left the building, so I will not subject you to waiting the 10 minutes. I'm giving this one the stamp of a win, the win seal of approval. So let's move on to the next round.